We're travelling along the world's longest river, the Nile, 4,000 miles from sea to source. It's the most remarkable journey I've ever made.
Wow, it's so busy.
It started 2 months ago in Egypt.
It's pretty unspoiled, isn't it?
Since then, we've met the Nile's most fearsome beast.
Leave my sandals on so the crocodile's got something to eat.
Discovered Sudan's hidden beauty secret.
It's like being Joan of Arc going out to choose which wood to be burnt on.
Met Ethiopia's Olympic hopefuls.
Now you are all my daughters. Ishi!
And thought about never going home.
I've got to leave Ethiopia now. It pretty much breaks my heart.
We're nearing the end of the journey, with just 1,000 miles to go to reach the longest source of the Nile.
Here we are.
Oh my gosh!
Down there is the Sud. It's arguably the largest swamp in the whole world. It spreads over an area over 12,000 square miles. The Sud is composed of sort of huge floating wodges of papyrus. Impenetrable. The Nile pours itself into the Sud, spreads out, and this vast sponge just sucks it up. The silt and the marshy sediments go down 6 miles. Somehow, at the other end, the Nile emerges again. Samuel Baker, the great explorer, in 1862, when he came across the Sud, said, "It's heaven for mosquitoes and a damp hell for man."
That said, I wish we were down there, battling through the swamp. But because of widespread tribal conflict in the region, we've been told it's still not safe in some areas. So, unfortunately, we've not been permitted to film on vast stretches of the river. My journey along the Nile started at the Mediterranean town of Alexandria. We've followed this great river through Egypt into the remote deserts of northern Sudan and on into Khartoum. Here I picked up the Blue Nile, tracing its path into the highlands of Ethiopia. I've now rejoined the White Nile in southern Sudan. From here, I'm travelling to Juba and then on into Uganda and then Rwanda, where my journey ends. Juba is the seat of government for southern Sudan. Here, in 2005, a peace agreement was signed, ending Sudan's bitter civil war, the longest civil war in Africa. The ceasefire is fragile, but it has allowed something rather wonderful to happen.
Well, this is rather unexpected, because I'm on my way to meet a beauty queen here in southern Sudan, in Juba, in this rather bumpy and exciting street. Beauty queen. Well, beauty contests used to be really popular here in the 70s and 80s, but when the Troubles came, they were dropped completely. And they've only just been resurrected in the last 2 years. And the reigning queen, Miss Malaika, is called Nok Nora Duan. And she's apparently very beautiful and very clever, and she's grooming 12 candidates to become Miss Malaika this year, and she will crown them. It's going to be very exciting. Isn't it lovely that after the war, beauty comes back?
beauty pageant isn't for 2 weeks. But on the shady banks of the Nile, the trainee beauty queens are being put through their paces.
Smile.
By last year's winner, 28-year-old Nok Nora.
You're a queen. Try to look at everyone. All the tables, people eating spaghetti.
I think it's the hardest thing to remember is this thing of smiling
Yeah.
and looking around the room. And the other thing, a very grand old English actress told me, she said she never walks on stage without secretly thinking that she has a secret.
Yeah.
And that self-control of knowing you've got a fantastic secret.
Right.
She never told anybody what it was. So you're smiling and secretive.
Here in southern Sudan, these young girls do not have to respect the modest Islamic dress code imposed on women in the north. In fact, events like this would be banned by law in northern Sudan and result in harsh punishment.
Look, why was it important for you to follow this path and become a beauty queen?
You know, since I was young, I used to watch Miss Universe every once in a while. And then when I came to Sudan, I thought that I could actually be a good candidate, come out, be an ambassador for South Sudan. So
You said when I came to Sudan, where had you been?
my family, we were refugees. We had exiled in the U.S. and then we grew up there. We got American citizenship, some of us. And then when the peace was signed, we came back. And you guys got to be closer.
What does this competition mean for southern Sudan?
I think it's a huge step in kind of showing normalcy and that everybody in South Sudan, they're tired of war, they're tired of all the issues, and we just want to have peace, and we want to do the things that all the other countries do.
Though beauty contests have become unfashionable in the UK, for these girls, it's seen as an important way to campaign for women's rights.
When the judges say to you, Friday, what would you like to do with your year if you won? What would you say?
Saving children or do small thing about women, because women, they don't have a freedom in Sudan. I just want to change something.
Yes.
I'm really so excited that I'm going to stand in front of many people. I have to show off to the public that you can do something.
Gosh, you're tall. It's so nice to be with tall girls.
Thank you.
It's lovely. Lovely. You look wonderful. Wouldn't you just wish that to be in a beauty competition, all you had to do is just powder your gorgeous face, that's all? At home, makeup going on for 2 hours for something like this. Here, these gorgeous girls just pat their faces like that and then just look $1 million. I obviously only do the same. Thank you.
The next day, I leave southern Sudan for Uganda, following the river to the head of Lake Albert. To continue up the Nile, I must now catch a ferry across the lake into the Murchison Falls National Park. Small roadside markets are dotted everywhere in Uganda. They sell everything from mangoes to nuts to a uniquely African snack.
I thought I might buy some cassava.
In the same way we grow potatoes, these people grow cassava.
Which is the best? Because I've never had cassava before. What is the nicest?
This tuber is Africa's most important crop.
Just break and eat it like this?
It can be grown almost anywhere, even during a drought, when other crops fail.
How is it? Delicious. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, that's actually rendered me speechless. It's completely kind of like flour. My mouth is filled up with quietness.
Okay, so when you're on the boat there, smoking is not allowed on the ferry.
That's our ferry over there. We're all going to fit on.
When you reach on the ferry, everybody, you have to put on the life jackets.
Will we all fit on? All the lorries, all the people? There's not very much space. Will we be all like this inside?
No.
No, it's okay.
It's okay, yeah.
But you don't have capsizing. You don't have accidents.
No. That one we have not yet done it. Yeah, this ferry is now 11 years, but it's nothing of that sort.
Joanna, you.
This is the only ferry of the day, and apparently it's always packed.
I think it's kind of standing room only for about the next 2.5 hours. Maybe a little light walking around. A few deck games.
The lake is named after Queen Victoria's husband, Prince Albert, and the ferry is now en route to a huge river delta created by the Nile. As the river flows into the lake, it forms islands and swamps, making Uganda's largest wildlife reserve. For the first time on my journey, I'm going to get a chance to watch the impressive animals that live in the Nile. This stretch of the Nile in Uganda was made famous by the great British explorers of the Victorian age, who wanted to chart the unexplored lengths of this amazing river. The race was on to map the Nile, one of the last geographical mysteries of the world. In 1864, husband and wife explorers Samuel and Florence Baker were the first to travel upstream here. The local tribes called Florence Daughter of the Moon because of her long blonde hair. They'd already mapped Lake Albert when they arrived here at Murchison Falls. Samuel Baker wrote, "I could distinctly hear the roar of water, and upon rounding the corner, a magnificent sight burst upon us."
Just look at that, the Murchison Falls. I can't believe I'm seeing them with my own eyes. It is just fabulously exciting. That's the Nile boiling down through these rocks. At the top, it's 164 feet wide. The gap it has to get through is 23 feet, so it comes crashing down, all forced through that. No wonder the Victorian explorers were so utterly thrilled when they found it. They sent back just saying, "We've seen these unbelievable falls." And remember, this was the time when America had been obviously discovered and settled, Australia had been discovered and settled, everybody knew about that, but nobody knew about the middle of Africa. Nobody knew where the Nile came from. Baker said these are the most important falls on the whole of the River Nile. And he named them after the president of the Royal Geographical Society, a fantastic body which then, as now, still sponsors the great explorations of the world. Today, Murchison Falls gives its name to Uganda's biggest nature reserve. It covers an area just larger than Cornwall and is home to the great creatures of African wildlife. Running through the heart of the park is the River Nile. My guide is Zimbabwean, Andy Alt.
This is a fantastic group of hippo down here. There must be at least 60, maybe 70, maybe even 80 of them.
But it wasn't always like this. In 1971, infamous Ugandan dictator Idi Amin took power. With no interest in conservation, he told his troops to use the park as their larder. Wildlife populations plummeted to virtually nothing. Then, in the early 1990s, with Idi Amin exiled, the park was revived.
They seem to be very sociable. Look how closely they stay packed together.
I don't know how they can fit all those bodies underneath all of the heads. Because you see, the heads are so close together.
Yeah.
And yet you know that there's about a 14-foot body.
Weighing what?
About 6 foot, 6 foot wide, weighing anything between 2,000 and 3,000 kilos. I just love them. They're so lovely with their big folds.
Hippopotamus is ancient Greek for river horse. Until very recently, biologists thought they had evolved from the pig family, but now research indicates that their closest living relatives are whales and porpoises.
How long can they stay underwater?
Usually 6 to 8 minutes is about a good average. If they're stressed or frightened of something, then they might stay under for up to 15. There's a calf.
Yes.
A tiny little calf. If you watch, just now you might see the ears come up and spin around. That's quite cool as well, actually. When they come up and spin their ears around, it creates a centrifugal force in the ear, so that's like throwing bucket out of a teacup or a coffee cup when you spin it around and flick it out.
It's just so incredibly exciting sitting here with them disappearing. You can't really tell where they're going to pop up, and suddenly this huge head the size of a small car arrives. Ears going like that. I've heard they're pretty fast on land. Is that right?
Yeah, up to about 40 kilometers an hour running.
That's the equivalent speed of an Olympic sprinter. And surprisingly, hippos are one of the most dangerous animals in the Nile, quite capable of upturning a boat and crushing a man to death between their powerful jaws.
But I swear to God, if we didn't know what hippos were, we'd be aghast at the size of these things. And they get that size by eating grass. Unbelievable, fabled creatures.
A couple of waterbuck bulls and a waterbuck female hiding in the grass down there. Yeah, you see that displaying. See how he's bending his neck?
Yes.
Arching his neck. Now the youngster's being very submissive because he's just learning some of the sparring technique, I think. Looking at it, but the big bull, he's being quite certain. All right, so let's keep heading down.
We push on along the river, dwarfed by huge floating papyrus islands. This was the stuff Victorian explorers dreaded, as it made river travel almost impossible. The swamp provides a haven for animals, including Uganda's largest, rarest, and most extraordinary bird. I never thought we'd see one of these.
It's a shoebill.
You'll just have to believe me when I tell you this bird is as tall as my shoulder and lives for up to 50 years.
That's extraordinary. It's literally like seeing a pterodactyl or something. Just phenomenal. Strange, almost animal face. Doesn't really look like a bird at all. Great soft grey hair. They're very rare.
Then we spot the creature that's eluded us all the way along the Nile. The beautiful, but quite dangerous, Nile crocodile. It's one of the world's oldest animals, and it even outlived the dinosaurs.
Andy, why has it got its mouth wide open?
Temperature regulation.
temperature regulation.
You'll see them quite often, just particularly on a hot day. They'll be lying there with their mouth open to let the heat dissipate.
Uganda, the heart of Africa, and one of the last countries on my journey up the River Nile. At this point, travelling on the water would be perilous, with rapids and waterfalls on every bend. So our only option is to go by road. But even that has its ups and downs.
Sideways.
Made much worse by recent rain.
I'd like to get out, but it would just be irresponsible because it would make the car so much lighter. I love helping out in these situations, but just sometimes you'd be a little bit selfless. Yes! Yes! Thank you, good boys. Well done, well done, well done, well done.
Just up the road from here is a remarkable organisation that's successfully breeding one of Africa's most endangered species.
I'm following Taban Rashid to see a rhino called Bella and her baby, which is not even 2 months old. I think I just saw her. Look. Look at the size of her. Oh, there's the baby. She's absolutely massive. I can't guess how high her shoulder is, but maybe 5 foot at the shoulder. She weighs, what, 2 tons or something? 2 tons. Going at 45 kilometers per hour. It's actually extraordinarily scary being so close to something which is so huge.
Here at the Ziwa Rhino Sanctuary, 50 rangers look after 6 adult rhinos and their 3 calves. Tapan and his team guard Bella and her calf Augusto round the clock.
They're coming closer.
Let's go back. Bella, go back. Go back. Go back. Go back. Go back. Go. Go back. Let's go back. Bella, go back. Go back. Please, cool down. Down. Down, please. Down. Down.
Don't think they're carrying guns to protect us. It's to protect the rhinos from poachers.
You just calmed her down just then.
Yeah,
didn't you?
yes, she smell me
Yeah,
and she hear my voice.
Yes.
Say, you have to be cool.
because their eyesight is not very good, is it?
No, they're short eyes. They don't see very far,
No.
but they are very, very active to smell and to hear things. Yes. You can see the ears ever like that's like antenna.
Listening and listening.
Yeah, listening to people.
White rhinos actually get their name from the Afrikaans word white, which means wide. It refers to their wide mouths, which are different to the hooked mouths of their cousin, the black rhino. It's perfectly adapted to grazing the grass of the African plain.
Here she comes. La la la, just walking very smoothly away. Okay, Tapa.
Go back. Go back. Go back. Go. Go back. Cool down. Cool. Bella, cool.
The reason I'm so scared is that as a mother, Bella's job is to kill us if we get too close to her baby.
It seems seems awfully cowardly, but I just sort of always anxious around big wild animals because they're unpredictable. Here comes a Buster again.
Go back. Go back. Go back.
Extremely disobedient and very big baby.
Go.
With a mother who's...
Go back. Go. Go back. Cool down. Cool. Bella, cool.
White rhino in Uganda had been hunted to extinction by 1980. Today, poachers are still after the rhino's horn, which can sell for up to £250,000 each.
Can you imagine killing an animal like this? It's unbearable, isn't it?
Just remove this small thing.
Yeah. Look, I'm not a doctor, but I can tell you, it doesn't work. Aphrodisiacs from horn, it just doesn't work, so drop it. Just lose it. Lose that idea. Send it across the Far East as message. It doesn't work, so stop it. It's the sweetest thing. He seems to be eating the mud now. Taban just said nobody has ever seen that before. Bella wallowing like that. Nobody's seen that before. An immense rhino fart. Let's go.
So far on my journey in Uganda, I've crossed Lake Albert and followed the Nile upstream, passing the magnificent Murchison Falls. Now I'm going to the place Victorian explorers believed to be the source of the Nile. This is Africa's largest lake. Originally called Nalubale, it was renamed after Queen Victoria. It's the size of Ireland. Its shoreline is over 2,000 miles long. Right on the northern edge of the lake, the River Nile starts. Here, where the water flows out from the lake, the Nile begins its mammoth journey all the way to the Mediterranean. In 1862, British explorer John Hanning Speke claimed this spot to be the source of the Nile. To celebrate Speke's achievement is a rather battered memorial on one bank. And on the other, a more polished statue to Gandhi. This was one of several places around the world where India's spiritual leader had his ashes scattered. Just below his statue, boat drivers tout for trade to take you to the source.
Well, this is it. This is the Victorian source of the Nile. 1862, when John Hanning Speke, who'd been searching and searching, came across this river pouring out of this massive lake. You can just see the beginning of it coming from round there. And this was officially named the source of the Nile. Quite extraordinary to be here. But it's such a beautiful place, and those explorers went through such hardship. They slogged and thought and checked and travelled, and I can imagine the sense of achievement because people had been hunting for the source of the Nile for hundreds and hundreds and maybe even thousands of years. The ancient Greeks knew about it, the Romans knew about it, the Egyptians knew about it. People had come down and been blocked by the Sud, gone back again. They must have been jubilant when they found this and could say, yes, this is it. But oh, John Hanning Speke, if I had a glass, I'd raise it to you now. What a fabulous achievement.
But it's too soon to celebrate, as this isn't the end of my journey yet. In 2006, a new source of this great river was discovered, putting the Nile into the record books as the world's longest river. The person who made this amazing discovery is modern-day Nile explorer Cam Maclay, who lives, for some of his time, on this island in the Nile. His expedition took 3 months to complete. Cam and 2 friends were the first to travel the entire length of the Nile, from the Mediterranean to its furthest source in Rwanda.
Cam, you're the first person I've met who's done the whole Nile by boat. Tell me why you decided to do it the hard way, which is going upstream the whole way instead of just coasting down the easy way.
What we wanted to do on this journey was to map the Nile and to travel to its longest source.
Yes.
So our argument was that if you're travelling the longest river in the world, then you don't go necessarily to the highest source or the largest or the furthest south, but the longest.
And how did you measure it?
With GPSs. So we used modern technology and we recorded our distance every 50 metres from satellite.
Wow.
So
accurate, as accurate as it can be.
So we could come out at the end of the trip and say categorically the river is 6,718 kilometres long. And there's the 3 of us, Neil McGregor, Garth McIntyre and myself, who did the whole expedition.
Do you think the Max names will be up in the Royal Geographical Society up round there with Burton, Speke, Livingston, Shackleton? Wouldn't it be lovely?
I don't think we quite belong up there in that category, but I
You've discovered the source of the Nile.
Yeah, I feel very proud of what we did, and I'm very proud of the fact that it's now in writing for our children to read and my grandchildren perhaps. But I think the thing is that it's our journey was very different to the Victorian explorers, and it was very hard in its own way, but it's in a whole different league to what they did.
This is one of the 3 Zap cats that carried Cam and his team 4,000 miles along the Nile. It would have earlier explorers turning green with envy. When they came across rapids too large to navigate, they used an unusual method based on an Italian concept. When this wasn't possible, they had to resort to other means.
Okay, that's good.
Carrying their boats, a method known as portage, from the French word to carry.
1, 2, 3.
I can't believe how laborious this is, How long is the longest that you've had to carry it?
About 5 kilometres. It's quite a way.
Thanks, Cam. I can probably manage to take this back on my own, if you like.
That would be wonderful. Okay, things are a bit easier now.
That's okay. She's sort of floating this bit.
The English phrase for this is messing about with boats.
Oh! Just about need your life jacket on there, Joanna.
Modern-day Nile explorer Cam Maclay has brought me to Rwanda to go on an expedition to see the furthest source of the Nile that he discovered in 2006. To find this new source, Cam had started at the Victorian source. From here, he drew an imaginary line across the lake to the mouth of the longest tributary. He then followed the Rukarara River to where it rises in the mountains of the Nyungwe forest. We are following the last part of his route. From the edge of the Nyungwe forest, we get ready to walk the final 3 miles to the source.
I'm just going to change this, what I've got in here, put on my boots. I mean, I can't really believe it. I can't believe, after however many weeks of shooting, that we're going to do all the rest of this on foot. It's too fantastically exciting.
To make sure we have everything we could possibly need, we have 15 porters.
Hat, put it on. Versace glasses, I think not. Insect stuff. Do you know? No. Actually, I wasn't going to show you this now, but I have to, because you'll think it's strange. I bought this in ginger in the market, and it's my little man in a boat. And I want to set him off on the Nile, on a journey back, the journey that I've done, starting off here, the very source of the Nile. There?
Shall we go?
Yeah. I'm following in your footsteps.
We're getting up high now.
Yeah. This is extraordinary. I hadn't really thought of it being at 7,600 feet.
Yes.
Height of Addis Ababa.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Amazing. Oh, look, Cam.
Wow. What we did is we moved further upstream from here and got to a point where we said, well, there's a perceptible flow of water here, but really, we can't go any further. And
But we're going up there.
we're going up there.
I'm keeping a fair bit behind you because I can see with your manly
Yeah.
slashings.
Yeah, give me a bit of space. These are the perfect thing for here, because you can cut where you can't see, and if you need to, you can stop and have a shave.
Staggeringly hard to get over this enormous obstacle.
And we still have our river flowing beautifully here.
Do you know, this is the first Nile water I've really drunk. Everybody said drink from the Nile. That's completely pure sweet water.
Fantastic, isn't it?
Wow. Everything's just,
Yeah, aren't they gorgeous?
I don't know, so huge. Oops. Crikey. Oh no. Oh no.
Oops.
Hang on, I've got my boot stuck.
Oh, you're back in there. You ready?
Hang on a second. I'm not quite in. Can you sort
I'll
of...
assist anyway.
That's one of the saddest things you've ever had to do. Thanks, Cam.
Because after all this, we wouldn't really want to leave them behind, would we?
It's just because they're a little bit big that they keep getting sucked right
See,
off.
moving around, a bit more solid here.
Yeah.
And there she is, still flying beautifully. So
You're such a lovely, optimistic person. I do think you're wonderful, Cam, because if I came here and saw this, I'm not sure I'd say it was still flowing beautifully.
Okay, we're getting very close now. So the longest source of the Nile is just up here.
But how extraordinary this is. Look. Perceptible water. It's perceptible. Because I'm perceiving it. Hang on a second.
Got you on the scent.
There we are.
Great.
My knee.
So this is it? We've made it?
Okay. Okay. We've followed a false lead. I lost the water down there, so I was going to look for it again, but I think we may lose it completely just up here. So let's go back and we'll try up the other one. Look for our perceptible flow.
We are going back. A little bit of Slav despond here. I have to say, I'm sort of just beginning to wonder about the sanity of this venture.
Well done.
Lovely.
Here we are.
Oh my gosh!
We can go no further.
Look at that. And look at the perceptible flow. It's like a little crocodile's nose. Just a little drip.
4,199 miles from the Mediterranean.
To tell you the truth, I never thought we'd get here. I had a sort of strange feeling that we'd sort of have to call it off, or this bit would be too difficult to do, or it had stopped. I mean, you know how you wake up at night thinking, what if that source of the Nile has dried up? What if we can't find it? What if our cameraman can't make the journey? What if our sound man is bitten by ants? You know, all those sorts of things crossed my mind. But they soldiered on, so I soldiered on. Yeah, it's almost unbelievable when I think back to where we were. Following this immense river through 5 countries, crossing 32 degrees of latitude, travelling more than 4,000 miles, has been humbling. One thing I half knew has been reinforced, that without water, we couldn't survive. It's been feared as a devil and revered as a god. It has transported goods and passengers in war and peace. It has drowned villages and nursed civilizations. It brings life to the deserts and has seen fortunes rise and fall. It blesses marriages. It brings hope for the future. It floods every year, and it never dries up. It's held sacred and holy by many different religions. I can't believe it, how such a huge river starts so quietly. I think I've been told that this water takes 3.5 months to get to the Mediterranean. And I brought my little guy in his little boat because I wanted him to do the journey that we've done, but in reverse, the proper way, following the flow of the water, which starts here, a journey of 4,199 miles, the longest river in the world. I mean, I think rushing water is going to come here later, and I'm going to leave him here. I'm going to settle him here, so when the next rain falls, he'll start his journey. He's thinking, pensive, thinking of his long journey ahead. I think I'm just going to help him over the first bit. Into that bit. No, he says, don't push me. I'm thinking, okay, we're just a little bit there. You could almost feel he was floating. You could almost feel he was... You could almost... now stopping the source of the Nile by kneeling a bit. There we are. Oh, God, Cam, look what I've done to your river. I'm so sorry. Sorry. I'm so sorry. So this is it. This is the end of the journey. It's kind of the beginning of the journey because we did it back to front. Beginning of the Nile. An end of our journey.